This was the first time the girl had ever met her grandfather. But instead of welcoming her, he told them to leave immediately. Her aunt was so frightened that she ran off, leaving Heidi alone on the mountain. When the grandfather realized the aunt had gone, he grabbed Heidi and scolded her harshly, telling her to leave as well, but it was obvious that her aunt didn't want her anymore. With no other choice, the grandfather turned back into his cabin and slammed the door, hoping she would give up and go away. However, Heidi understood clearly, if even her grandfather refused to take her in, she would truly have nowhere to go. She had lost her parents when she was very young, and now the aunt who had cared for her for 5 years had left for Frankfurt to pursue a better future. Heidi had to find a way to stay. Luckily, the goat shed beside the cabin wasn't locked. At that moment, her grandfather was watching her through the window. He never imagined that Heidi's sudden arrival would completely change his life. That night, Heidi curled up beside the goats and finally made it through her first night there. The next morning, when her grandfather opened the door, Heidi sat up in surprise, carefully studying his expression. He didn't say a word. Instead, he quietly milked the goats and handed her a bowl. She was starving and drank it down eagerly. She thought he had accepted her, but unexpectedly, he planned to send her to the church. After examining Heidi closely, the pastor said she was healthy and should be easy to care for. However, he wouldn't be able to take her away for another 3 days, so the grandfather had to look after her in the meantime. And so, Heidi was able to stay for a few peaceful days. She cautiously asked whether she should sleep in the goat shed again that night. Her grandfather replied coldly, "You can sleep wherever you want." Only then did she dare to step inside the cabin. She found it nearly empty, just a table, a chair, and a wooden bed covered with sheepskin. There didn't seem to be a place for her. But then she noticed a ladder leading up to the attic. To her surprise, it was filled with soft hay. She happily rolled around in it, and a small window in the wall offered a perfect view of the valley. To Heidi, it was the perfect place to sleep. She then gently begged her grandfather not to send her to an orphanage. He paused for a moment, but gave no clear answer. The next day, the young shepherd Peter came up the mountain. Heidi wanted to go herding with him. After getting her grandfather's permission, she quickly finished her milk, washed her face with fresh mountain spring water, and got ready to leave. Before she went, her grandfather prepared some cheese and dried meat for her and told Peter to take good care of her. After all, it was her first time going up the mountain. The alpine pastures were breathtaking, wrapped in mist, like a paradise on earth. Heidi was completely enchanted. But the happy days didn't last long. One day, an unexpected visitor arrived in the village, her aunt, who had abandoned her 3 years earlier. It turned out the aunt had found a wealthy family who wanted Heidi to be a companion for their daughter. She promised that Heidi would live a comfortable life and even receive an education. She urged the grandfather not to be selfish, saying it was all for Heidi's own good. But the grandfather stood firm and even frightened the aunt away. Once again, she fled, but this time she didn't leave. Instead, she waited along the path for Heidi to come down the mountain. She told Heidi about the wealthy family, but Heidi replied that she loved her life in the mountains. So the aunt deceived her, saying, "Your grandfather wants you to leave too." Those words deeply hurt Heidi. Before leaving, she still wanted to say goodbye to her grandfather, but her aunt gave her no chance. In the blink of an eye, Heidi was already in a carriage heading for the train station.